Faces of Abortion is the only television program of its kind that shares the powerful, real-life stories of women, men, and families who have suffered through the destruction of abortion. You will be hearing powerful stories from women and men and families throughout the nations. Faces of Abortion touches lives and changes hearts in over 115 nations. You will also be given practical steps on how you can end abortion.
So it just overwhelmed me. And I thought the only way to escape the pain was to take my life.
I had a fear that I wouldn't be able to have my own children.
It brings heartache. It brings hurt.
And I knew they were tearing my baby apart.
I remember the cold feeling of the room.
I remember laying there and I just said to myself that I will never forgive myself for what I'm doing.
I believe that my life was spared that night just so that I could be here right now and say abortion hurts women.
Welcome to Faces of Abortion. I'm your host, Cindy Collins, and I'd like to introduce my co-host, Alan Parker, President of the Justice Foundation, and Clayton Trotter, General Counsel of the Justice Foundation. And today we have our special studio guest, Mike and Gina.
That's right, Cindy. This week's going to be a little bit different. We're going to hear from Mike and Gina and David as well. So we're going to hear about how abortion affects men and their families.
That's right, Alan. It's a very important show, and today we're going to be hearing David in his own words.
I am the husband of Amy and the father of 4 kids, including Benjamin, whom we aborted. And I'm really here today to talk about the role of the man in the abortion procedure. And men are created to be leaders. They're created to protect and to guide families. And it's no coincidence that men are traditionally found in leadership positions such as government, military leaders, and it's because true leaders have these decision-making abilities. And what I feel through an abortion process, the man is really excluded from the whole process. What happened with Amy and I is she was counseled, she was guided, and she was told to go ahead and have this abortion. And at no point in time was I brought into the process to help make those decisions. So what happened was I ended up driving her to an abortion clinic and just sitting outside by a soda vending machine while my child was being ripped from her mother's womb. And I was powerless in the whole situation. So I think that abortion really silences the role of the man intentionally. I think the whole abortion industry, and I do consider it to be an industry, has done a good job of just kind of taking the man and setting them aside and not allowing them to speak and have a voice. I think that it's ludicrous to believe that a man would just stand aside, like in a home, let's say, that he would allow someone to come into his home, take one of his children, dismember that child, kill that child, wound his wife, and for him just to stand by, not do anything, not even say anything. See, men are created to protect and to shepherd their family. And the abortion effectively silences them and actually makes them impotent in their ability to protect. So in hindsight, see, I was never brought into any of the counseling sessions, any of the education sessions, any of the decision-making sessions. So I really didn't have a voice in the procedure at all. I mean, I just really stood by and let the wounds be inflicted upon my wife. For that's the part that I have to live with, the fact that I now know that I forfeited my right as a man and my calling as a man to protect my family. So that's the biggest wound, I think, in my life. I think one of the biggest issues is when I did not protect the family. Okay, if I allow this to happen, then there's I think an element of trust and an element of safety that is jeopardized. And so that can permeate in many ways in the family and probably in the relationship between my wife and I. It would be one where she might not have the safety, the feeling of safety, the feeling of a protector in her life, a feeling of someone who will stand up for her and stand up for our children. So I think it could give her that sense that is not there. I would like men to know that they have a responsibility in life to protect life, to shepherd and guide their children, to speak forth the destinies in their children. And abortion silences that ability for them to do what they've been created to do, and that's protect their family and to call forth the destinies of their children.
You've just heard David's powerful story, and if you're a man who has gone through the trauma of abortion, we want to encourage you to call our 24-hour helpline now. There is somebody at the end of that line that wants to hear your story and walk you through the road to healing. You know, Alan and Clayton, when I was listening to David's powerful story, I kept on hearing that word of helplessness that he felt, and also the call to men to protect their children. It was just a very, very riveting story with David.
It is, and it's a different picture of abortion than we normally present. Most of the time it's women talking about abortion, and that's what we think of most of the time, primarily because the court has focused on it as a woman's issue. But no one gets pregnant alone, and there's always a man and a woman involved. There ought to be a strong protective relationship to protect the woman and to protect the child, which is the inevitable consequence of most normal human sexual activity. So it's not like we should be shocked when